New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Why, hello there. It's me, yes, me, Bonnie Gonzalez, your doula for grief. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time you're watching this program. I am praying that you are well. And I want to start with a big thank you. Yes, a big thank you to you for taking this time out to take care of you, to give back to you, to get some words of encouragement, to continue your journey of healing through grief. And why don't you just make this next hour about you? Get a cup of coffee, some tea, wine, whatever you like at this time of the day, and just settle back for the next hour and make this about you. And I would love, love, love to know that you're out there watching and listening. So make yourself a part of this conversation, a part of the dialogue. Drop a comment, ask a question. Even if you're watching this later, if you drop a question in, I still get to see that and can respond to it on the next program. So I just want to commend you on taking care of yourself today. And I want to assure you, if this is your first time watching, you have come to the right place to begin your journey on healing from grief. And if you're a returning audience participant, thank you so much. I'm glad we have it like that. I'm glad that we have that kind of a relationship that you trust me to come back week after week. So thank you. And a little bit about me. I sometimes forget that part. I'm still Bonnie Gonzalez, but I am a grief coach. And recently, I graduated from a beautiful program. And now I'm a certified grief educator. I'm a registered nurse, religious science practitioner, and a licensed soul collage facilitator. But the most important thing, the one thing that I am the proudest of is that I am a human being right here on the planet with you, navigating our choppy waters of life, choppy waters, smooth waters, but I'm right here with you, right here with you. And as your doula for grief, my mission with this program is to bring grief out of the shadows of our lives, bring it smack dab in the middle of our lives, in the middle of our conversations. And do you know why? It's because grief is our biggest teacher of life. Grief is our biggest teacher. Grief has gifts for our lives, even though it may not feel like it. Grief transforms us in ways that no other life event can transform us. And I always say that grief's superpower is healing. Yes, healing. The very thing that we run away from to heal is the thing that we need. As I say, there's no going around or under or over grief. It's right right smack through the middle of it, right through the middle of it. And I want to say that we cannot do grief alone. Grief, oh, Bell Hooks says it best. We can't heal in isolation. So grief needs to be heard. Grief needs to be validated, and grief needs to be shared. Remember those three things. And know that by leaning into our grief, and when I say lean into our grief, I mean feeling what comes up. That's how we heal, is by feeling it. Because I know for a fact, guaranteed, as Oprah was said, the one thing I know for sure is that you can't suppress grief. You really can't. What you resist will persist. Grief is there to come up and to come out, to be expressed. So as I said, leaning into what you feel is how you begin that healing process. Even if it's painful, devastating, just know that that too will lessen and lessen over time. I'm not saying overnight. I'm not saying that it ever completely goes away, but it does not maintain that same intensity that it does when the event first occurred. And I always clarify loss and grief. So loss is what we experience, and grief in turn is what we feel. Loss is what happened to us. And then the grief is the emotions that we go through. And the emotions vary from person to person. There's anger, there's sadness, there's even numbness, there's confusion. There is a range of emotions. And whatever you feel, know that that is you. And that's the part that gets validated. No one can tell you how to grieve. We're all individual people. So just know that leaning into it allows it to start to pass. And so the other point, I was just with some friends not too long ago, and I think I shared this. And I've been doing grief work for a long time now, and I was with some other grief educators, and someone said, we were talking about death. Yeah, that was the conversation. We were talking about death, and someone said, do you know what the most not talked about topic is in our society? And oh, of course I knew that. Death is the most not talked about topic. It's like, no, that person said no. Grief is the number one not talked about topic. So look at us here talking about both death and grief. So with that said, about death and grief, I want to read a poem. I'll read a poem and then we're going to move into our theme today. But this poem just really struck me. I was sharing this with a friend who recently had a big, tremendous loss in his life. And so it says, it's not even a poem, it's just a little essay, a little writing by Tara Brach. And she says, in the Lakota Sioux tradition, a person who is grieving is considered most holy. There's a sense that when someone is struck by the sudden lightning of loss, he or she stands on the threshold of the spirit world. The prayers of those who grieve are considered especially strong, and it is proper to ask them for their help. You might recall what it's like to be with someone who has grieved deeply. The person has no layer of protection, nothing left to defend. The mystery is looking out through that person's eyes. For the time being, he or she has accepted the reality of the loss and has stopped clinging to the past or grasping at the future. In the groundless openness of sorrow, there is a wholeness of presence and a deep natural wisdom. And that's by Tara Brach. So that leads me to today's theme from my guest, Reverend Dr. Deborah Davis Jones. Her theme is learning to dance for me. Learning to dance for me. And my beautiful guest that I am so honored and privileged to have is Reverend Dr. Deborah Jones, who is an ordained minister, a teacher, a certified Christian life specializing in personal, marriage, and parent coaching. She has a doctorate in Christian education administration and retired as a public school administrator. Deborah is a widow with one son, Don. So Deborah, welcome today, and welcome and thank you for your yes. Can you, yes. Deborah, welcome and thank you for your yes. Thank you for being here today with me.
You are quite welcome. I put it off as long as I could, so.
It's okay. It's okay. It's always about right timing.
It was the right time. Yes.
About right timing.
And see, you did not tell them how we met.
Deborah, that's a show unto itself.
Yes, it is. But we did meet at my husband's homegoing.
Yes.
Actually, we called it a celebration of life. And I guess that's where I should start.
Yes. Well, now that you brought it up, I will say this. It was quite a synchronistic meeting, and kind of gets me choked up when I start to think about it now. My husband and I, we're all living here in Mexico, and this was last year. Yeah, time goes by so fast. But someone just announced, someone announced on a sister's app that Deborah's husband had died. Deborah's husband. I didn't know either one of them. I didn't know Deborah. I didn't know her husband. But I was just from that compassionate place of, wow, yes, we need to go. And they were asking for food per repast. And I said to my husband, we need to go. We just need to go and take food and just pay our respects. And he didn't even squawk. Most people said, you're going to someone's funeral you don't even know. It's like, yeah, I don't know them, but I can imagine what it's like to be in the widow's situation. So yes, I will go. And when we got there, Deborah and my husband Tito and Ralph knew each other. I was the missing link, but he was quite honored to have been there at Ralph's homegoing. And so that's how Deborah and I met and just became it was instantaneous. It was just like those cup of noodles that you pour the water in and they come to life. It's like our relationship came to life right in that.
She asked me where was my family, and I said my family had been here, but they had to go back. And I said, well, my friend will be here, but she's not here. She said, well, I will be your family.
Oh,
and so from that time to then, we have been family.
Yes.
And my husband did die suddenly. At 3:00, he was laughing and talking with some friends who live in Aguas Calientes, and they are coming back today to visit. Not here, but they're coming back. And laughing and talking at 3:00, and he went into a seizure. And then about 10 after 4, the doctor came out and he says, well, we've been giving CPR. His blood pressure has been going up and down. We'll give CPR for a while. But I don't know how, we can only do so much longer, and I'll get back. And I'm like, well, okay. And So I called my friend Candy, who was a fluent Spanish speaker, and who lived across the street. And I said, well, come on. So she came over, and the doctor came out, and he said, well, we couldn't do anything. And I said, well, okay. And then I was like, what? You mean he's gone? And so that's kind of how it happened. And so because we were thinking, eventually he had some complications, but he would be home. But it was a shock.
Yes.
And when that happens, a lot of other things are set in place that you don't have any control over, that are time dependent. But you just, you think things are in order, but all of a sudden, long story short, I had to learn to dance for myself. I had to do the things that you have to do when someone dies. You have to deal with their remains. You have to deal with their things. You have a lot of things to deal with. My sister, who came here, was here, and she said, so, which I thought was really helpful. She said, so what are you going to do with this stuff? And this was like, 3 or 4 days. I said, well, I guess I need to get rid of it. She said, yes, you do. And so I gave some to my housekeeper, gave important things to people that were important to him. And as I look back now, that was very important, because I didn't stay where we lived. I didn't want to be there. I also did not carry him with me. I carried his memory. I carried his joy, but absent from the body is present with the Lord. And as I began to process it, I began to understand from my faith perspective, God's favor. Because he could have let him be sick. He could have let him be immobile. He could have left him here for me. But his quality of life would not have been, he would have been glad to be alive, but he would have dealt with the depression of not being able to do the things that he enjoyed with life. He knew who he was and whose he was. And when he left, we understand that when you're absent from the body, you are present with the Lord. And so we'd had our discussions, we had made our decisions, and he had told me what he wanted me to do. And it didn't really matter what anybody else wanted, but he said he wanted, we knew we'd be cremated. He wanted his ashes to be scattered at the chapel that overlooked Lake Chapala. And so I did that. I told him the second time, I must really love him, because I went up this mountain twice, but I'm not going up again. but I was able to fulfill his wishes. And I know that he is with the Lord. I know he is doing what he's able to do, the things that he was not able to do before. And that we will be together in God's time. I did look up grief and mourning. I thought that was important, because I had 2 parts. One of my good friends' husband had died the year before, and when she found out, she called me up and she said, I just said your husband died. She said, I said, yeah. She said, I'm going to say this. She said, he's not with you. He's with the Lord. You love him. He's in your heart, but you have a life. And I said, that's true. And I'll just be honest, truthfully, I understood. Again, I was talking about God's favor, because and the things that we believe when we pray, we ask for God's will, not ours, and we want him to heal. And so for us, in our mind, healing is you're going to get well and come home. But I remember working with a priest years ago who had this congestive heart failure. And I was saying, well, we do need to pray for your healing. And he said, yes, but you need to understand that God heals in many ways. He may heal you and you come to your house, or he may heal you and bring you home. And either way, you are healed. And so that was what I understood. And the longer that I'm a widow, I really have begun to understand what a struggle his life was every day. He would sometimes tell me that he was tired, and I said, "Oh, go back to bed." And he said, "No, it's not that kind of tired," because he did have long COVID. We both did. He had long COVID. His long COVID was, in addition to the other things, was the tiredness. And so he was tired, but so I miss him. But in order to, but I could not live, and I mourned him, and we had life celebrations because we celebrated his life. We celebrated the fact that he was here. We celebrated the fact that many of the things that he wanted to accomplish in life, he did. He had a family. We had a wonderful marriage. Wasn't that long, but it was a wonderful marriage. And so, and he was where he wanted to be, doing what he wanted to do. And so, but, and I still would have days, I call them widow days. I don't feel like talking. I don't feel like, and it's nothing personal. I know you're praying for me. I know you care about me, but I just don't want to hear it today. And again, that's okay, because as you said, you have to grieve the way you grieve, but it's not something that I lived in. I asked, we hadn't been here long, but God, why am I here? Because you could have taken him before we left. And he said, no, I began to understand my purpose. But I went into the scriptures because my life scripture is in Jeremiah. I know the plans I have for you, plans to harm you and not to prosper you. So I said, I know there's a plan. And in Jeremiah, he says, before you were born, I knew you. And so I knew that there was a plan for me, that there was something that was going to happen. And, again, because in my faith pattern, I went to the scriptures. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So don't live in that grief, because every day he left me here for a purpose. And we had family, we had children, we had, things that we needed to accomplish. And so I rejoice in the fact that I had him for as long as I had him, the few years, but some people never have that at all.
Right. Yes.
And then I have friends who had been in marriages for 40 years and they were miserable for 38 of those 40 years.
Yes. So,
humidity here. Go ahead.
No. If you want to read that, then I have a couple questions. Okay. After you read that, and then I have a couple questions.
Oh no, I was finished.
Okay. No, I was going to say, you were just talking about the suddenness of Ralph's death, the suddenness of his transition death. And I just remembered a quote that I heard long ago, is that we never know what's going to come next, our next breath or our next life.
Yep.
So living into that, the not knowing what's going to come next. And with that knowing, it sounds like you were at a place of really, truly accepting what has come.
Well, if you don't have any control over it, then what can you do except keep moving? What this serenity prayer says, help me to change the things I can, but to know the difference. So it was, wow, he's gone. And so suddenly after all that, because for a while you really are, you're on autopilot. You have to deal with remains. And you're out of the country, so you have to deal.
Yes.
You have to deal with the consulate. You have to deal with the American government. You have to deal with the hospital. You have to deal with all those things. And tell you the truth, I just finished the last thing about 6 weeks ago. because every time I would think something was finished, then something else would come up. But in all of that, that meant, and I was sitting here thinking, my husband and I, we like to dance. And then I was listening to some music and I got up to dance because I saw, and then I said, wow, I now have to dance by myself.
Oh, that's where that title came.
And then I said, well, not only by myself, but for myself, because I had always been I was a daughter, I was a teacher, I was an educator, I was a minister, I was a parent, I was a wife, but I was just never Deborah. And suddenly I didn't have to account to any of these people for anything. But by the same token, I didn't have this husband I could say, and you're going to laugh, order us some pizza. For me, the most difficult task was the first time that I had to order pizza here, because it's something he always did, and he was better in Spanish, more fluent than I was. But then it's like, wow, I really can't. I have to do these things myself. So it gave me a different concept of what I was, who I was.
Yes.
Because, I was still Deborah Davis Jones, but I was really Deborah Davis Jones without Ralph.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But I did learn to say, thank you for your opinion. I know you mean to help, but I'm going to do it like this.
Yes.
It opened me up to resources because God sent me resources. God sent me Bonnie. God sent me my sisters. God sent me a support group, especially of widows, because there are a lot of widows down here. And, and there is a widow in my Bible study. In fact, one of the other members' husband just passed away. She just had his home going on the 17th. And so it was important to have those people. I just talked to one friend who had been a widow for 20 years. And I told her, I said, you still miss him, don't you? She said, yeah. She said, sometime I get ready to talk to him and I realize, oh, he's not here.
Yes.
But you move on and you live in those positive memories. But you have to learn that you have to do things on your own. You have to think for yourself. And you have to do, I always was a person who was not, who could stand up for myself. Right. But now, not only did I stand up for myself, but I had to develop the ability to say, yes, I understand what you're saying. But for me at this time, that is not for me. And see, we laughed. Remember that we ran into a man who gave me the bamboo toothbrush the other day. And I said, thank you for your thank you. I appreciate what you said. I do. Yes. However, that is not going to work for me.
For me, yes.
And so, go ahead.
Oh, well, I have a couple questions. I wanted to ask you, especially knowing that it was that you guys had a loving marriage and it was very short. You say, was it 2 years, Deborah?
2 years. Mm-hmm.
Did you ever, in those initial moments, or even at any point in your bereavement, ever say, God, why me? There's so many people I know that ask that question in different situations and circumstances. And I just wondered if you had that question. And if you had even say that you had a client that came to you with that, God, why me? Why me? How would you respond, and how did you respond to that? Or was that a question for you?
It really wasn't for me. We are, you and I know we talk all the time. And to me, the difference between a life coach and a counselor is a counselor really deals with why me. Well, I don't know why me, but I mean, it did happen to me. And I could ponder why me, but that if I thought that would bring him back, I would probably have asked that. But since it didn't, I did know that I can do all things, and you know how I always say, well, if God never slumbers nor sleeps, there's no need for me to be up because He's got it. And so see, though, the question is not why me, but why not? Because this is the world and we don't have control over the world. But then as I began to really think about more, not why me, but remember, I started talking about God's favor, and I began to rejoice in God's favor that I was given this wonderful, godly man for 2 years, the 4 years that we knew each other, and the 2 years that we got to do the things we liked. He told me, I always wanted a wife I could go to church with. We love going to church. There were many things that he needed to work out in his life, that he had spent years with a counselor. And then he had this coach say, okay, so now you got all the information, what you gonna do with it? And so that's why I could say, well, you know, again, within my faith perspective, we know sin is in the world. I knew that he had 2 major strokes before he even met me. And so the fact that he had all of those years after the stroke having a pretty good life, I can rejoice that I had that. And again, God's favor, because God could have had him in a wheelchair, and he could have be totally dependent. And it came up to me again, this scripture, you know, that I never paid attention to, not really, even in ministry, you know, John 3:16, greater love had no man who laid down his life. Well, that's Jesus. No, it's not. Because my husband was very concerned that I would be burdened in taking care of him. I would say, oh, no, it's not a burden. I really would, you know, I love you. It's no problem. Would you mind? He said, no. But then when he heard, and I believe to this day, that he heard the doctor say that he had some pneumonia on his lungs, he wanted to do something. And it was that morning. And that evening, I think he said, okay, Lord, I'm good, because he had made his peace a long time ago. And so I think that really helped me to say, you know what, it's not why me, but he must have had God's favor, because I know people who have taken care of their husbands. A good friend of mine, he had a stroke. She took care of him for 6 years.
Yes, exactly.
And ruined her body trying to take care of him. And so, but 4 years later, she's still grieving. And I said, you need to get some help, because he would not even want you to be living in a museum. You know, he would want you to have a life. And so I never asked that question, because I knew that I just said, we must have had God's favor. I had him for 2 years, and he is not sick anymore. He's not in constant pain. He can see, because he had lost part of his vision. So he can do all those things with Christ that he was not able to do. So he's okay.
So beautiful, Deborah, beautiful. I love your how you have allowed your faith to carry you through these difficult times. Your belief, your faith has carried you through. And I want to ask you this. I want to ask a couple questions, and then I have a couple points. You know, I'm like, oh,
and I'm going to give you short answers this time. Short answers.
No, you take your time. You're beautiful. No, I'm enjoying. I'm savoring every moment. But I was going to ask you, in those early days, and even now, maybe it's a difference. What got you out of bed in those early days? What gets you out of bed now?
Well, I got out of bed then because I had stuff to do. You know,
yes.
I never had the luxury to deal with staying in bed all day because I was depressed. I could have, but then I'd have been hungry and homeless. And so I had stuff to do.
Right. So that got you out of bed then.
Yeah, yes. You know, I have stuff to do, but I did ask God, not why me, but why here and why now?
Yes, yes. And
so that was the question. And See, she heard me yesterday. She heard me tell this story yesterday. So be
it's okay. I love it.
But after the dust settled and I got a new apartment and I got a new house with my tree in the middle.
Los Todos?
His name is Todos because my driver said that if you have something live in your house, it has to have a name. And so it's Todos. But I said, okay, why am I here? And a conversation that a man, I could not tell you his name. I could not tell you if I saw him again, who he was. But I worked for a mega church in 1994, and we were at a missions conference, and this man came up, and actually he told me, he says, you know, I'm going to pray that God puts a burden on you to be a missionary in Nova Scotia. And I laughed, and I was like, well, I'm just going to have to be disobedient because I am not going to Nova Scotia. It is cold. I'm not doing cold. And then he went on to explain that Nova Scotia was the terminus of the Underground Railroad, and there were many Black people there. And I said, that's a wonderful thing, but I'm not going to Nova Scotia. Right. And so I never thought about it again. And then I was sitting there going, I said, okay, God, you got me straight. You got me in a place. I know I got to do stuff for myself, but why here? Why now? And that conversation came back to me very clearly that you are here because this is what you're supposed to do. And then I began to understand the burden. I began to see people who were here. And if you live here, you see so many people here who are by themselves, who have no one. And they need to have someone to say, there's somebody here who cares about you. You are important. You do exist. You are valuable. And so what gets me out of bed now is that that I do have an opportunity here to help people. And so, you know, he's given me things like, well, my Bible study, we've been together going 7.5 years now. These ladies have been my very strength. We've studied the word together. And so he's said these things, you've had a YouTube channel, you've had a website, you have had these things for years.
Yes.
Now's the time to do what you're supposed to do with them. And so that's why I get out of bed in the morning. The other thing is that I'm nosy because I want to see what Bonnie's doing. I want to see what all the girls are doing every day.
Yes, but I was going to say you touched on something very, very early in your share that right after Ralph died, that one of your friends who had lost her husband also called to offer condolences and advice. And I was going to say, there's Tim Sumberland, and he puts it this way, that there's 4 friends that we need when we're in grief. 4 friends. And that first friend, Deborah, and that's what you touched on, is you need a friend who has experienced the same type of loss that you have experienced. And so you had that friend that had experienced the loss of her husband.
And we had a conversation the day that he passed.
Oh my goodness.
I knew that she knew his time was near. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh no, thank you. No, interrupt me because you're the guest. And the second friend, and this is something I think we all have, somebody who treats you like nothing ever happened. Like nothing ever happened. Like you never lost, you weren't even married. You just never had, what is that person said, a burden put on you. But I think we have too many of those people that will treat you like nothing happened because people are so uncomfortable with grief and loss. And okay, so the first friend is somebody who's experienced the very same thing that you have, the very same type of loss. The second one's a friend who treats you like nothing ever happened. And the third friend is someone who will listen. Someone who will listen when you need to unburden that or to talk. And not to listen and say, oh, girl, you need to get over that. Oh, no advice, nothing, but just to truly listen. And I tell people, if you don't know what to say, you just don't have to say anything. And you can say, I don't know what to say, but if you're listening, that's all that's required. You may say, that does sound hard, or yes, I can see how that got to be. That could be difficult. And then the fourth friend is a truth teller. The fourth friend will tell you the truth. Not like, oh, again, like you need to get over it. You know, Ralph wouldn't want you doing that. It's like, no, that friend is the one that tells you, Deborah, I noticed you've been just downright mean to people. Deborah, I noticed that there's a lot of wine bottles in your, bin every week. But somebody that just tells you the truth, but tells you the truth in a loving way, not in a harsh or scornful way. And so I know that there have been dark times for you, and maybe even now or going through this. What is the one thing that you feel, one thing, two things, however many things, that has carried you through the dark times, the hard times? What's that poem, Footprints? Sets, and wow, it's like, well, there was that set. What got you through that set? There was only one footprint.
Well, the one thing was my faith in God, my study, knowing that truly was Christ who carried me, and that things would be, that I would move through this, because life is life. And
yes.
It would have been great if he had been here, but it's not. So be thankful, live a life of gratefulness. And then the other thing that I did, which I really didn't do before, was I began to journal. I began to write down my thoughts, because it's sometimes it's not even that somebody needs to hear it. You just need to say it. You need to write it down,
empty
to help you work through it. So I'm not gonna say I journal every day, but I do most days, in terms of just now it's more organizing and keeping a focus, because it's really easy for me with my attention deficit self to get off focus. But it really did help to write down my thoughts. And sometimes, and the other thing that really helped me sometimes is to share things that happened with my husband and I, or things that that he would say, he say arrogance plus the perception of privilege equals stupidity.
Can you say that again? Can you say that
arrogance plus the perception of privilege equals stupidity.
Perception of privilege. Oh, I love that.
And so, because we be watching people do, he said, yeah, well, they're arrogant. They think they're privileged, so they just think they can get away with it. And so there are things that we said or we does or we share. And so I may share it with my friends, or share it with people. And so that is what would help me get through it. In the beginning, sometimes I would just walk through the house and hit myself on the thigh and say, just help me get through this. Just help me. Again, I always thanked God for favor, because the longer I'm a widow, the more I understood just what an effort it was for him to get out of bed in the morning.
Yes.
And so I thanked him for giving me that good man for those years, and thanked him again for not making him be an invalid in the bed for 14 years or 6 years or 8 years.
Right. Thank you, Deborah. And I'm just absorbing that. Just saying, help me to get through this. And so
not only help me, but I know that I will get through this, because again, Psalm 30 says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning.
Okay.
Weeping may endure for a night. So, but I can't do this, but I know that I'll be joyful. He'll always be in my heart. But joy and happiness are two different things. Happiness depends on circumstance.
Exactly, Deborah. Yes.
And so if the circumstance changes, but I have joy. So I know that things will work out for my good. And so I can weep tonight, but hey, I'm up, I'm joyful. And so that is what really got me through it. Weeping endures for a night, but you know what? You can't sit in this. You can't be a parked car.
A parked car. Or there's this minister, I think her name was Carol Clark. Anyway, she says when you're going through a hard time, when you're going through a difficult time, and you've just got life's challenges at your back and in front of you, she says, you just keep going. You keep driving. She said, you don't stop and buy a condo in that place.
That's right.
In that neighborhood. You keep
Yes.
driving. And it sounds like that's what you were doing, driving. And it was your faith that was the vehicle that was carrying you through.
Yes, because I can remember this pastor, it must have been 30 years ago. He said, you know what? You got 3 phases of your life. You're going to go through, you're going through, or you have been through.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like, this is where I am now, but I am just going through this, and I'm not going to get stuck, because life changes. And the only thing that we can be sure of in life is that today is different from yesterday, and tomorrow is going to be different from today. And we don't have control over that.
Oh gosh, Deborah, I could keep you on for another hour, but believe it or not, we're getting to time. But what I want to say, oh, you're glad to have it over. Come on, you're just getting warmed up. I heard Deborah speak yesterday. Believe me, folks, she could go on for another hour, but on in a good way with content, not just, what did I call it, filling the room with words, but with meaning and content. But I wanted to say, when I started the show, I talked about how grief is transformative, that we cannot go through a grieving process, through grief, and come out on the other side the same. And I know that you're still in that process, quote unquote, with diagnostics from the experts and the whatevers, is that you're still a newly bereaved. After 2 years, I don't know what happens at day 2 years, something happens and suddenly you're catapulted somewhere. But I know the first 2 years are very, 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 still it's like being in that, what do you call it? Being in a holy chrysalis, where that transformation is still going on. But I just wanted to ask you at this point of your grieving process and being in the chrysalis, and our theme is learning to dance with me. What have been some of the surprises from dancing for me? Any surprises or anything that you see that's different about beautiful Deborah now?
I think that I am more confident. I'm more honest in what I want and what I believe, and I try to be tactful about it. But sometimes people don't understand tact, and so so I try to be more. But if anything, it has deepened my faith, because I know that I have walked through the valley of the shadow of death, and have come through it. I know that that I know of God's promises, and I know that they will be brought forth, and that the joy of the Lord is my strength. And so live in joy.
I love that.
Because we do have a choice. We do have a choice.
Yeah. Even if it's a painful choice, yes.
But sometimes you pull the Band-Aid off quickly, but doctors have found sometimes ripping it off doesn't help. It makes it more painful. So everybody has to figure out how to take that bandage off.
Yeah, taking it off at your own pace and your own way and style. Wow.
And nobody can tell you how to grieve. But I told my friend, and I said, I can't tell you how to grieve, but I can tell you this: your husband's been dead 4 years, and your house looks like a museum.
Wow, really, Deborah?
Yes. And so how pleased would he be? And actually, I told her to take that stuff, and if she really wanted to honor her husband, take it to 2 junior colleges and ask her they put up, because she put up an art collection in his name, so he could never be forgotten.
Yeah, and she can do it in a ceremonial style.
Absolutely. I said people would be ecstatic to have these beautiful things that you and your husband have collected, and the 200 clocks that didn't work. But
oh my gosh, Deborah! Before I close or have you share what you're doing in the world, I just want to show our audience our picture. Oh, I hope you can see it. That was the picture of Tito and Ralph, and it says friendship. Deborah framed it. That's Tito, and this is Senior Ralph, who wanted to be here today.
Yes.
And then below, it's Deborah and I, our first day that we met, and it's compassion. I was just sitting with Deborah. I just felt nobody should go through this alone. It's like, here, just put your head on my shoulder. So that is our tribute.
Thank you.
Friendship.
And I have to be honest, that is the first time that I allowed myself to put my head on someone's shoulder.
I'm honored that,
because I was always the one who was the strong one. And then I said, no, you don't have to be strong right now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Be strong.
Oh, honey. Oh, just God be with you. Oh, and Deborah is such a beautiful light in the world, teaching and sharing and speaking. And Joe, can you just put up Deborah's email there? If you want to be an eloquent speaker at your event, please get in touch with Deborah. And she's available, I know, via Zoom if you're local here and in the area. I know that she would really love to honor that request. And then Deborah has an on. Tell us a little bit about your other group that's ongoing.
Okay, I have a Bible study where we're on hiatus now, but we'll start back August 22nd, called Studia der Verbum, Study God's Word. And we're working in the 101 most important words of the Bible by Lynn Woods until the end of the year. And it's just fun. And we take these words out of the Bible and we have just a discussion about it. I am a Christian educator. I'm not a theologian. So if you want deep theology, this is not the group. But if you want to understand God's word and how it fits into your life, then that's please join us. I also have a website, and it's Day 4 Life. And Day 4 means Jesus rose on the third day, but we had Day 4 was life for the rest of us. So how we navigate our life is through Day 4. So we are, she has it up there, Day 4 Life International Ministries, and then my I also have a YouTube channel. If you just put in my name, Dr. Deborah Davis Jones, it will come up. Or a Day 4 Life, the number 4 Life in Ministries International is also on YouTube.
Oh, beautiful, Deborah. Thank you so much. And may you just continue to do.
Thank you for having me.
It's like there's that term, retired, but you're not retired, you're refired. So there should be something else that we're going to put for widow, the widow rocket, get boosted out into your next best and greatest to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All I can say is if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, because I intended to be retired playing Candy Crush all day.
Oh my gosh. That's one of my guilty pleasures. I have to limit that pleasure. Oh, you're just so beautiful, Deborah. I just wanted to see, was there anything more that I had a ton of questions, but that's good. We'd have to, you know what, Deborah, you can always come back. You can always come back.
Well, you just tell me when, Bonnie. Tell me when. And tell me when, because I have enjoyed this.
Yeah, and to continue to share your word in the way that you share. We all have a gift. We all have important messages to give the world. They just come in different, what do I call it? Sometimes different languages, but just come We all have gifts. They just come in different packages. They really do. And I love what you said about basing what joy and happiness. And I know from one of my Buddhist texts, it talked about not basing your happiness on transient things. That everything in life, just like you said, today is different from yesterday, and tomorrow will be different from today. So just knowing that everything is transient, it comes and goes. And when we can find that deep connection to self, deep connection to God, nothing can take that. Nothing can take that away. So, I'm just honored to have had you here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I'll look forward to you coming back. And
anytime, you just tell me, I'll be there.
Okay, all right, I'll hold you. Well, everybody out there listening is my witness. When I call her, she says, I didn't say that. It's like, oh no, we've got it recorded. So I just want to thank Deborah. And Deborah, you're no longer going. Will you be speaking again at the little chapel here in San
Yes,
Antonio?
after I come back, I'm going to the States for my family reunion, my college reunion, and all that stuff you go to the States for. I will be back mid-August, and again, I will be definitely speaking once a month, but perhaps more often.
Okay, so
Yes.
For us that are here, you can check out Deborah's word. You don't have to take my word for it. You can go and check her out for yourself.
And if you go to my YouTube channel, my
yes.
Bible studies are there, and many of my sermons are also there too.
Okay, so just what you see.
Actually, I don't preach sermons; I give lessons.
Yes, she gives a talk, a charla, as they would say in Espanol. But her YouTube channel is just what you see on the screen here, Dr. Deborah Davis Jones on YouTube. Look her up. And so with that, thank you, Deborah. And I need to do a little bit of hawking some wares. I need to talk about the Convention of Americas that's going to happen right here in Chapala. Chapala is a happening place. And the title of this conference is Tu Luz es mi luz, Your Light is My Light. It's a bilingual conference. Everything is live. What is that? Translated live, simultaneous translation going on. So it doesn't matter what language you speak, Spanish or English, you can be right in the flow of things. And that's going to be August 6th through August 10th at the Monte Carlo Hotel here in Chapala. Some great speakers and workshops. And I'm going to be presenting also at this workshop again. I've been asked to repeat my soul collage. So come on down. Just like just like Deborah's talking, saying she's great. I can say this convention is great. But until you come down and try it, you won't know. So
you're going to have to do soul collage by yourself. I'll be gone.
Oh, I'm going to be on my own. Oh, I've got to hire some people now. I've got to get some help. So anyway, I just want to thank everyone out there for listening. Just thank you for listening. And what I invite you to do, I invite you to do this every week. And maybe just something you can do every day. I just want you to go to your mirror right now. Well, right now, right after you finish. I want you to go to your mirror. I want you to look yourself in the eye and say, what do I need today? What do I need today? Whatever comes up, I want you to honor it. You are so worthy of having your desires. So ask yourself, what do I need today? And with that, I just say, don't do grief alone. Don't do grief alone. So with that, big love to everybody. Namaste, Ashe, Amen. And so it is.
So it is.
Ciao. See you next time. Thank you.